Quitting negative self-talk. When I look back at the early days of my journey, I realize one of the most toxic habits holding me back wasn't lack of money, lack of connections, or even lack of opportunity. It was the way I talked to myself. That constant inner voice saying, "You're not good enough, you'll never make it, people like you don't succeed." This silent battle in the mind can be more destructive than any external obstacle, because before the world rejects you, you've already rejected yourself. Negative self-talk is like poison. Every time you say, "I can't," "I'm not ready," or "I'll probably fail," you're reinforcing chains that keep you stuck in the same place. Imagine trying to run a marathon while carrying a backpack full of bricks. That's exactly what negative self-talk does to your dreams. You might still move forward, but painfully slow, and eventually you give up. To become a millionaire, or even just to live a fulfilled, purposeful life, you must quit this habit. Wealth and success don't just come from strategy, skills, or luck. They come from belief, mindset, and courage. And that starts with the conversations you're having with yourself every single day. I want you to remember this. Your brain believes what you repeatedly tell it. If you constantly feed it doubt, fear, and insecurity, it will find evidence to support that belief. But if you choose to feed it confidence, faith, and possibility, your brain will also find evidence to support that belief. The words we speak internally become the reality we experience externally. When I decided to quit negative self-talk, it wasn't easy. I had spent years reinforcing those toxic patterns, but here's the truth. You can't just silence that voice. You have to replace it. I began using affirmations like "I am capable," "I am resourceful," "I am worthy of success." At first, they felt fake. My inner critic laughed at me, but over time, repetition rewired my brain. Slowly, the doubts grew weaker, and the belief grew stronger. Another step I took was to challenge my own thoughts. When my mind told me, "You can't start a business, you don't have the experience," I would ask myself, "Is this really true, or is it just fear talking?" Almost always, it was fear, not fact. I realized that most negative self-talk has no evidence behind it. It's just an echo of old failures, past criticism, or societal conditioning. Once you recognize that, you can break free. I also started surrounding myself with people who spoke life into me instead of doubt. The company you keep influences the conversations in your head. If you're around people who always complain, criticize, or limit themselves, that energy becomes your reality too. But when you surround yourself with dreamers, doers, and believers, your self-talk automatically begins to shift. Quitting negative self-talk isn't about ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing the perspective that empowers you instead of cripples you. Every successful person you admire once had doubts. The difference is they didn't let those doubts control their destiny. They chose to talk to themselves like a winner long before the world saw them as one. So my challenge for you today is simple. Catch your inner critic in the act. Notice when you're saying, "I can't," "I'm not enough," "I'll probably fail." Stop. Replace it with a new script. Say instead, "I'm learning, I'm growing, I will figure this out." Because success starts with self-belief, and self-belief starts with the words you whisper to yourself when no one is listening. Quit negative self-talk today. That's the first step to becoming not just a millionaire in money, but a millionaire in mindset, confidence, and life. Quitting time, wasting activities. One of the most powerful decisions I made on my journey from broke to millionaire was quitting the habit of wasting time. See, time is the most valuable currency we have. You can lose money and earn it back. You can lose possessions and replace them. But once time is gone, it's gone forever. Yet most people treat time like it's unlimited. They waste it scrolling endlessly on social media, binge, watching shows, or gossiping about other people's lives, all while their own dreams are left untouched. When I was broke, I used to say I didn't have enough time to work on my goals. But the truth was, I had time. I was just spending it on the wrong things. I knew every episode of every series on Netflix. I could spend hours scrolling on my phone, watching other people live their lives. I was always busy, but not productive, and here's the hard truth. Being busy is not the same as being effective. Millionaires and successful people don't have more hours in the day than you. They have the same 24 hours. The difference is in how they use those hours. They protect their time like treasure because they know every wasted hour is a missed opportunity to grow, to learn, to build. Quitting time, wasting activities is one of the first steps to building wealth and freedom. So, what does quitting time, wasting actually look like? It doesn't mean you can never relax or enjoy life. It means being intentional with your time. It means asking yourself, does this activity move me closer to my goals, or is it just a distraction? Most people never ask that question. They just drift from one distraction to another, and then wonder why their life never changes. For me, I had to be brutally honest. I cut out binge, watching shows. I cut down my time on social media to only things that inspired me or helped me grow. I stopped hanging out with people who only wanted to complain, drink, or gossip. At first, it felt lonely and even boring. But what happened next was life changing. I suddenly had hours of free time I didn't even realize I had. Hours I could now use to read books, study business, learn new skills, or work on ideas. Those hours became the building blocks of my future success. Every millionaire I've met has a high respect for their time. They schedule it, they protect it, they use it wisely, and they are ruthless about cutting out activities and people that waste it. Because when you waste time, you're not just wasting minutes, you're wasting your potential, your future, your freedom. Think about it. How many hours a day do you lose to meaningless scrolling, to distractions, to things that don't add any value to your life? If you added up those hours across a year, you'd realize you had enough time to start a business, learn a skill, write a book, or build wealth. The problem isn't lack of time, it's lack of focus. I want you to imagine your life as a jar, and your time as the space inside. If you keep filling it with sand, meaningless distractions, there will be no room left for the rocks, which represent your goals, your dreams, your priorities. But if you fill it first with the rocks, the things that matter most, you'll always find space for some sand. It's about priorities. Quitting time, wasting activities is not easy. Those habits are comfortable. They feel harmless. But over years, they cost you your dreams. So starting today, audit your time. Cut out the distractions. Replace them with actions that build your future. Because success is not built in one dramatic moment. It's built in the small, daily choices you make with your time. Quit wasting your life in front of a screen. Quit drifting. Quit waiting. Start using your time like the priceless asset it is. That's how you go from broke to millionaire, not just in money, but in meaning, freedom, and impact. Quitting toxic relationships, one of the hardest but most important steps I took on my journey from broke to millionaire, was this. I quit toxic relationships. And let me be clear, it wasn't easy. Cutting people out of your life feels painful, but keeping the wrong people in your life costs you far more than letting them go. Toxic relationships are like anchors. They keep you stuck in the same place no matter how much effort you put in. You can be rowing hard, working late nights, chasing big dreams, but if you're surrounded by negativity, jealousy, and small-minded thinking, you will never rise to your full potential. I realized this when I looked around at the people I was spending the most time with. Instead of inspiring me, they were draining me. Instead of supporting my vision, they laughed at it. Instead of pushing me higher, they pulled me down with gossip, excuses, and fear. And here's the truth: your environment shapes you more than you realize. Show me your 5 closest friends, and I'll show you your future. Millionaires understand this at the deepest level. They know that success isn't just about what you do, it's about who you do it with. If you surround yourself with small thinkers, you'll keep playing small. If you surround yourself with complainers, you'll start complaining too. But if you surround yourself with winners, dreamers, and doers, you'll begin to rise to their level almost automatically. Quitting toxic relationships doesn't mean you hate those people. It simply means you value yourself enough to protect your energy, your time, and your future. You can love people from a distance. You can wish them well while choosing a different path. And the moment you do this, you free up space in your life for the right people to enter. For me, this decision was life-changing. I distanced myself from friends who only wanted to party, waste time, and stay broke. I limited conversations with relatives who doubted every step I took. Instead, I began seeking mentors, networking with like-minded people, and spending time with individuals who believed in growth, discipline, and possibility. That shift in environment was like fuel. It lifted my mindset, expanded my vision, and gave me the courage to go after things I once thought were impossible. Here's the thing: toxic relationships are not always obvious. Sometimes they hide behind jokes that cut you down, behind constant negativity disguised as advice, or behind people who keep you comfortable because they're afraid of your growth. But if you're serious about becoming successful, you need to pay attention to how you feel after spending time with someone. Do you feel drained, doubtful, and small? Or do you feel energized, confident, and inspired? That answer tells you everything you need to know. I want you to imagine your life as a garden. Your dreams are seeds waiting to grow. But if your garden is filled with weeds, people who choke your energy, your confidence, your ambition, your seeds will never thrive. Quitting toxic relationships is like pulling out the weeds. It's painful, it's uncomfortable, but it's necessary if you want your garden to flourish. Some of you listening right now already know the relationships that are holding you back. Maybe it's a friend who constantly doubts you. Maybe it's a partner who doesn't support your vision. Maybe it's a circle that celebrates distraction more than discipline. Deep down, you know who they are. The question is, do you have the courage to let them go? Because the truth is, success requires sacrifice. And one of the biggest sacrifices you'll ever make is leaving behind people who don't want to grow with you. But I promise you this: when you create that space, the right people will come. The ones who lift you, challenge you, and celebrate your wins. Quit toxic relationships today. It might hurt in the short term, but it will save your future in the long term. And that, my friend, is one of the most powerful steps from being broke to becoming a millionaire, not just in money, but in peace, purpose, and true freedom. Quitting the paycheck-to-paycheck mindset, one of the most powerful shifts I made on my journey from broke to millionaire, was quitting the paycheck-to-paycheck mindset. See, poverty is not just a lack of money, it's a mindset. And as long as you think like a broke person, you'll stay broke, no matter how much money you make. When I was living paycheck to paycheck, my entire focus was on survival. Get paid, spend, survive until the next check. There was no thought of investing, no thought of building, no thought of creating wealth. My whole life was about making enough to get by. And guess what? That cycle never ends unless you break it. The paycheck-to-paycheck mindset is dangerous because it keeps you trapped. You get just enough money to feel secure, but never enough to create freedom. You work hard, but your money disappears as fast as it comes. And instead of asking, "How can I grow my wealth?" you ask, "How do I stretch my salary until the end of the month?" That mindset keeps millions of people stuck in the same place their entire lives. Quitting this mindset doesn't mean you suddenly earn a lot of money. It means you start thinking differently about the money you already have. It means you stop living only for today and start planning for tomorrow. It means you stop spending on instant gratification, clothes, gadgets, nights out, and start focusing on long-term gains, savings, investments, skills, and assets. Here's the truth. Most people don't have a money problem, they have a priorities problem. They say they can't invest, but they buy the newest phone. They say they can't save, but they eat out 5 times a week. They say they can't afford a course or book, but they never miss a party. The problem isn't income, it's mindset. When I decided to quit the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle, I made a rule: pay myself first. Every time I earned money, I set aside a portion for savings and investments before spending a single rupee on anything else. Even if it was just 5 or 10%, it built the habit of prioritizing wealth over comfort. Over time, those small steps grew into big results. Another change I made was focusing on building assets instead of liabilities. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out. Buying new sneakers is a liability. Buying a skill, a course, or an income-generating tool is an asset. Rich people think in terms of assets. Broke people think in terms of stuff. I chose assets. I also started creating multiple streams of income. Living paycheck to paycheck means you're completely dependent on one source, your job. And if that job disappears, your life collapses. Millionaires don't think that way. They build different income streams, businesses, investments, side hustles, so they're never trapped by a single paycheck. The moment you shift your mindset from survival to growth, everything changes. You stop asking, "How can I afford this bill?" and start asking, "How can I create more income?" You stop focusing on cutting costs alone and start focusing on increasing your value in the marketplace. That's when you break free. I want you to imagine this. If you continue thinking paycheck to paycheck for the next 10 years, where will you be? Probably in the same place you are now, stressed, limited, and stuck. But if you change your mindset today, if you start saving, investing, and building, you could be financially free in the same 10 years. The time will pass either way. The question is, how will you use it? So my challenge to you is this: stop living for the next paycheck. Stop trading your time only for survival. Quit the paycheck-to-paycheck mindset and start building wealth that creates freedom, opportunity, and choice. That's the step that took me from broke to millionaire, and it can do the same for you. Quitting excuses. If I had to choose one single habit that kept me broke longer than anything else, it would be this: making excuses. Excuses were my shield, my comfort zone, my reason for not taking action. I told myself I didn't have enough money to start, I didn't have the right connections, I didn't have the skills, the timing wasn't right, the economy was bad, or someone else was luckier than me. And while those excuses made me feel better in the moment, they were silently killing my future. Here's the truth: excuses are lies we tell ourselves to protect our comfort zone. They sound convincing, they sound reasonable, but deep down, they're just a way to avoid responsibility. And as long as you keep making excuses, you'll stay stuck exactly where you are. Millionaires don't succeed because they never face challenges. They succeed because they stop excusing themselves from solving those challenges. Everyone has obstacles. Everyone has disadvantages. Everyone has reasons to quit. The difference is that successful people choose action over excuses. Think about it. If you say, "I don't have enough time," what you really mean is, "I'm not making time." If you say, "I don't have the money," what you really mean is, "I'm not prioritizing my spending or finding creative ways to earn more." If you say, "I'm not ready," what you really mean is, "I'm afraid." Every excuse is just fear or laziness in disguise. I remember a point in my life when I wanted to start a small business, but I kept saying, "I don't have the capital." Then I met someone who had started with even less than me, no money, no contacts, just pure determination. That moment hit me hard. It wasn't money I lacked. It was resourcefulness. That was the day I promised myself, no more excuses. If I wanted a better life, it was my responsibility to create it. The moment you quit excuses, you reclaim your power. Because excuses put the blame on something outside of you, the government, the boss, the economy, your family, your past. And when you blame something else, you give away control. But when you say, "No excuses, it's on me," you take back control of your future. Quitting excuses doesn't mean life suddenly gets easy. It means you stop letting difficulty decide your destiny. It means you show up even when you're tired, even when you're scared, even when it's inconvenient. Because success is built on consistency, not convenience. I want you to think about this. Every excuse you make today becomes a regret tomorrow. One day, you'll look back and realize the only thing that stood between you and your dream was the excuse you chose to believe. Don't let that be your story. Instead, adopt the mindset of problem solvers. Millionaires don't say, "I can't." They ask, "How can I?" That one question opens doors. It forces your brain to find solutions instead of building walls. And every solution you find makes you stronger, smarter, and closer to your goal. So ask yourself today, what excuses have you been making? Maybe it's time, maybe it's money, maybe it's fear. Whatever it is, I challenge you to drop it. Replace it with responsibility, resourcefulness, and relentless action. Because at the end of the day, you can have excuses, or you can have success, but you can't have both. Quit the excuses, and you'll be amazed how quickly your life starts to change. That was one of the biggest turning points in my journey from broke to millionaire. And if you quit excuses today, it could be the turning point for you too. Quitting comfort zone, living one of the most dangerous places you can ever live, is not in poverty, not in struggle, not in chaos, but in your comfort zone. The comfort zone is that space where life feels safe, predictable, and familiar. You know what's coming tomorrow. You know how to get by. Nothing challenges you, and nothing scares you. And while that sounds nice, it's also the very reason why most people never grow, never change, and never reach their true potential. When I was broke, I lived in my comfort zone every single day. I stayed in jobs I hated because they felt secure. I avoided risks because I was afraid to fail. I told myself, "At least I'm surviving. At least I'm okay." But deep down, I knew I wasn't really living. I was just existing. The comfort zone was slowly suffocating my dreams. Here's the truth. Everything you want, wealth, freedom, growth, success, lives outside your comfort zone. No millionaire, no leader, no visionary ever achieved greatness by playing it safe. They all had to step into the unknown, take risks, face fear, and push themselves beyond what was comfortable. Growth and comfort cannot exist together. You must choose one. Quitting comfort zone living doesn't mean throwing yourself recklessly into chaos. It means making the choice to stretch yourself daily, to do the things that scare you, to take the risks that move you forward, and to embrace discomfort as the price of progress. For me, it started with small decisions, speaking up in meetings when I used to stay silent, learning skills I thought were too difficult, investing money when it felt risky. Each small step outside my comfort zone built confidence. And that confidence opened the door for bigger risks, starting a business, facing rejection, failing publicly, and trying again. Every uncomfortable step expanded my life. Think about it. The first time you try something new, it feels scary. But once you do it, it becomes normal. Your comfort zone expands. That's how growth works. If you keep repeating this cycle, eventually the things that once terrified you, public speaking, networking, investing, leading, become second nature. Meanwhile, your life transforms. But if you never leave the comfort zone, you stay trapped in the same routine forever. And here's the scary part: comfort today becomes regret tomorrow. One day, you'll look back and realize you played it safe while your dreams died quietly in the background. Don't let that happen. I want you to imagine your life like a muscle. If you don't challenge it, it stays weak. But if you push it through resistance, through pressure, it grows stronger. The same is true with your character, your mindset, your career. Discomfort is not your enemy, it's your teacher. It's the gym where your future self is built. Millionaires and successful people understand this. They seek discomfort. They choose the hard road because they know that's where the growth is. They take risks others avoid. They embrace failure as feedback, and that's why they rise while others stay stuck. So my challenge to you today is simple. Quit comfort zone living. Start doing the things that scare you. Apply for that opportunity. Launch that idea. Speak to that person. Invest in that skill. Fail forward. Because every time you step out of your comfort zone, you step into a new level of life. Remember, comfort never created greatness. Safety never built empires. Playing small never made anyone a millionaire. If you want success, you must be willing to walk where it's uncomfortable, scary, and uncertain. That's where growth happens. That's where transformation begins. Quit the comfort zone today, and you won't just change your income, you'll change your entire destiny. Conclusion: when I look back at my journey from being broke to building wealth and freedom, one thing is crystal clear. It wasn't just about money, business strategies, or luck. It was about habits I chose to quit. Success is not only about what you start doing, it's about what you stop doing. I quit negative self-talk because the way you speak to yourself determines the life you create. I quit wasting time because every wasted hour is an opportunity you'll never get back. I quit toxic relationships because the people around you either pull you down or lift you higher. I quit the paycheck-to-paycheck mindset because true freedom comes when you stop living just to survive and start building to thrive. I quit making excuses because every excuse is just a delay on your destiny. And I quit comfort zone living because growth only happens when you step into discomfort and uncertainty. Every single one of these decisions was difficult. Quitting bad habits feels uncomfortable at first, but the truth is, staying stuck is far more painful in the long run. The day you choose growth over excuses, discipline over comfort, and faith over fear, that's the day your life begins to change. And here's something important. Becoming a millionaire is not just about the bank account. It's about becoming rich in mindset, rich in confidence, rich in opportunities, and rich in freedom. Money is just the byproduct of the person you become along the way. If you quit the habits that hold you back, you'll naturally step into the habits that move you forward. So let me ask you, which of these habits are you still holding on to? Are you still doubting yourself when you should be backing yourself? Are you still wasting hours on distractions instead of building your future? Are you still surrounding yourself with people who don't believe in you? Are you still living paycheck to paycheck, trapped in survival mode? Are you still making excuses instead of finding solutions? Are you still choosing comfort when your dreams demand courage? Be honest with yourself, because awareness is the first step to change. Once you see the habits holding you back, you have the power to let them go. The life you want, the wealth you dream of, the freedom you crave, it's all possible. But it requires sacrifice. It requires discipline. And most importantly, it requires the courage to quit the habits that no longer serve you. So my final message to you is this: don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait for more money, more confidence, or more approval. The perfect time is now. Start today. Quit what you need to quit, and step boldly into the life you're capable of creating. Because if someone like me, who once lived broke, doubtful, and stuck, can quit these toxic habits and rise, then so can you. Your millionaire journey doesn't start with a winning lottery ticket or a lucky break. It starts with a decision to stop holding yourself back. Quit the habits, claim your future, and remember, the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the courage to let go of the life that keeps you small.